Good day, my dear students. Today we will talk about an introduction to globalization. At the end of the lesson, it is expected that you can write a personal definition of globalization, differentiate the competing conceptions of globalization, and finally to identify the underlying philosophies of varying definitions of globalization. First, let us understand what do we mean when we say contemporary. People and things from the same time or period are referred to as contemporaries. Things that are happening now or recently are also referred to as contemporary. Since the beginning of time, a lot has changed. Over the previous century, humans have experienced tremendous changes, particularly in their social connections and social institutions. Globalization is, without a doubt, the most significant of these shifts. If not the most crucial, we view ourselves as part of the global age because of the reality and omnipresence of globalization. For example, a person in the Philippines can learn about what is going on in the rest of the world by just perusing Google. People, communities, and countries from all over the world can connect through the media. Globalization is a broad term that refers to a variety of phenomena involving the economy, political institutions, and culture. Globalization entails economic integration, policy transfer across borders, knowledge transmission, cultural stability, power reproduction, relations, and discourses. So, what does globalization entails? The question is most likely simple to answer. Many scholars, on the other hand, have given and attempted to create definitions. As a result, distinct and sometimes contradictory perspectives on the subject emerged. It is impossible to contain it in a precise time frame with all people in all settings. Globalization has taken on numerous meanings over the years, including progress, development, and integration. On the one hand, some people see globalization as a good thing. For example, Thomas Larsen, a Swedish journalist, defined globalization as the process of the world shrinking, of distances getting shorter, of things getting or moving closer. It pertains to the increasing ease with which someone on one side of the world can interact with and benefit from someone on the other side of the world. Some, on the other hand, believe it occurs as a result of and in conjunction with regression, colonialism and destabilization. Now let us take a look at how the scholars define globalization. According to Al Roden, globalization tends to include the internationalizing of production, the new international division of labor, new migratory movements from south to north. Another scholar, we have Haywood. Okay, he defined globalization as the emergence of a complex web interconnectedness. That means that our lives are increasingly shaped by events that occur and decisions are made at a great distance from us. Distinctions are commonly drawn between economic globalization, cultural globalization, and political globalization. Another one is Ritzer and Dean. So, globalization is a transplanetary process or a series of processes including increased fluidity and growing multidirectional movements of people, objects, places, and information, as well as the structures they confront and build that either obstruct or expedite those flows. In general, this concept presupposes that globalization will result in either integration or fragmentation. In a global world, goods move readily, but there are also roadblocks or structural impediments. These restrictions could stifle one's activities in another country or even limit the places one can visit. If that's the case, why are we going to spend time learning about it? How can these definitions be appreciated? What role may this play in accelerating globalization? The concept of globalization is shaped by the perspective of the person who defines it. An overview of definitions implies that globalization means different things to different people. If one regards globalization as a positive factor, for example, one claim that it is a unifying force, globalization can, on the other hand, be seen as negative because it is seen as increasing inequities between nations. Overall, globalization is a difficult term to define because it is a constantly changing phenomenon. It is complex and multifaceted, and the people who define it can have an impact on it. Furthermore, globalization's challenges and concerns include a vast variety of topics, from the individual to society, from tiny towns to nations and states, and from the benefits we can derive from it to the costs it may entail. Now we will use metaphors to help us better understand the concept of globalization. Let us use the state of matter. We have the solid and liquid. People, things, information, and places hardened over time during the age that preceded today's globalization. As a result, their mobility is restricted. Social interactions and objects stayed in their original locations. Solidity refers to physical obstacles that hinder or impede the movement of objects. Thus, we can refer to landforms and bodies of water. Now, liquidity in today's environment refers to the increasing ease with which people, things, information, and locations may move. Since then, globalization has accelerated and unparalleled rate with governmental policy reforms and communications technology advances regarded as the primary drivers. These movements are difficult to stop. For instance, videos uploaded to YouTube or Facebook, for example, are unstoppable once they go viral. The so-called online sensations become well known not only in their native country but also around the globe. Now, let us talk about the advantages of globalization. First, we can see employment. So, globalization proponents argue that it allows developing countries to catch up to industrialized ones through increasing manufacturing, diversification, economic expansion, and improving living standards. Companies that outsource contribute jobs and technology to underdeveloped countries. Another one is peace relations. By reducing supply side and trade related limitations, trade initiatives boost cross border trading. Another benefit is free trade between countries. Social justice. Globalization has increased social justice on a global scale, and proponents claim that it has heightened awareness of human rights around the world. China and India are two of the most prominent examples of countries that have benefited from globalization, but there are a plethora of smaller players and newcomers. Another advantage is education. Since globalization has allowed the students from a country to pursue their studies in another country as exchange students and go back to their country, bringing up with the knowledge, skills, and culture that she has adopted from the other country. Another is, of course, the technological advances. Through the use of the internet, a person can communicate with anyone globally. Aside from that, there are also improvements on the quality of life of people because of technological advances such as the mode of transportation. Another one is the GDP of the country. Aside from the money gained by the products that the country offers, another advantage of globalization is the opportunity to generate income through offering tourist attractions. And lastly, of course, through globalization, people can travel to different countries. Now, let us talk about some of the disadvantages of globalization. First, of course, globalization has created new health hazards, threats, and concerns. The coronavirus, for example, has spread widely due to people's ability to roam in multiple directions from north to south, and it can happen to any pandemic from anywhere in the world. Next is the unequal opportunities. As a result of the unequal distribution of wealth, globalization has not yet solved the problem of poverty. Because small businesses cannot compete with large corporations, wealth is concentrated only in the hands of a few individuals. As a result, the major benefits of globalization have yet to be realized. And of course, we have the mixed cultures. Mix of culture can lead to the loss of national identity because of globalization. Alright, that's the end of our lesson today. See you in our next class and please don't forget to subscribe. See you!